What's going on, everyone? Shots with Cola here, and today we are going to cover the topic not compensated versus compensated. And are compensators really worth it? What do they do, and how well do they do it? Now, right off the bat, not every compensator is equal. So not all compensators are equal. Those knockoff eBay ones do not alleviate or cut down on recoil nearly like your higher end ones like Radian Ramjet systems or a Herrington Arms comp. Now this is the second Herrington Arms comp, and in this footage I have two different versions of the Herrington Arms comps. I run both the 19X, the PSA Dagger, and the Glock 17. Well, the 19X and the PSA Dagger, I run compensated and non-compensated. And then the 17 just to have a regular non-threaded barrel in the mix. Now the 17 is supposed to be out of the Glocks kind of the best when it comes to its OEM regular way it runs. The 17 is supposed to be the most manageable when it comes to recoil. And then the 19, which is what the Dagger is kind of a clone of, or is a clone of, the Gen 3 Glock, essentially. And then the 19X, this is the V series, has a 17 grip, but the 19 slide. So the recoil the muzzle flip should be similar to the 19, minus you get a little bit better grip on it. But I did some slow-mo footage to kind of cover the recoil and how well it's managed. You kind of get to see the whole effect of it to the best of my camera's capability. So yeah, let's go ahead and run some of the range footage, and I'm gonna continue talking. We're just gonna run it over it so I can kind of discuss what's going on here. So you can see here with the PSA Dagger, let's go ahead and run the footage of the Dagger running non-compensated, and then we're gonna run the footage of it running compensated, and you can see the differences right there. So that particular compensator on the Dagger is the HCDG, Herrington Arms compensator. And so what that is, it's got a chunk port up top. However, they have two different models. They have the HCMDG, which has a little bit bigger of a port, but this one is the HCDG. And definitely noticeable difference. However, when we step over here to the Glock 19X, on this guy, we have the HC95. Now, this particular comp, I thought that these side cuts were not going to be as effective. I was like, isn't that going to kind of take away a little bit of that kick down? I was wrong. These side cuts made a massive difference. They're claiming somewhere in the range of like 25 to 35 recoil reduction. I would say I personally, hands-on, had guessed 30% recoil reduction when I shot this before I saw the video where someone brought up that they're claiming this guy gives you about 35% recoil reduction. Absolutely. And you can tell this thing is a beast. It completely changed the shooting experience of the 19X. I am a strong fan of Herrington Arms after experiencing that. With the Dagger, I noticed a difference, but I was like, you know, I've kind of noticed that kind of difference when I had the Glock 43X with the Safari Precision ports. I noticed that kind of difference. But this, it was a massive change. Now, I haven't tried the Radian Ramjet. Supposedly, that is like the max amount of recoil reduction you're going to get out of any kind of compensation or porting. I want to do a PSA Dagger, a micro Dagger, to do the Radian Ramjet and see how it does. I've done a lot with the 43X, so I want to kind of mix it up and do something a little bit different. So I do want to try the micro Dagger just because we haven't tried it on the channel, but we are going to try the Radian Ramjet. As far as Herrington Arms go though, and you're talking about just the comp that you're going to throw on a threaded barrel, I genuinely think that this is about as good as it gets. I mean, the amount of reduction, you can see it in the footage. Even my follow-up shots were so much faster, and I was trying to take it slow for the footage, but because I immediately had my target acquisition right back after that shot, that follow-up shot, I was ready to shoot the next round because it felt like it had been plenty in time. And that's what this gives you. when you're following up, yeah, are you going to be more accurate? Not necessarily more accurate, but you're going to be so ready for your follow-up shots, it's going to make you a faster shooter and still be accurate, period. Massive difference. Even at 14 yards, when I was at the range, at 14 yards, I was able to keep my grouping pretty close together. I'm going to do math whenever we do the final video where I throw it in a brace and we want to go over, like, I'm going to do actual how many inches apart the entire grouping and everything is, and we're going to go cover that fully, and it's going to be a very long video. So just a heads up on that. Once we get the brace and we do some real finalized testing, it's going to be a very long video. The reason I wanted this recoil reduction, if you see here, that is not an OEM Glock trigger. Now, did you see how that kicked out? And then let's see how it kicked out even though my finger was on it? Yeah, even though it's a V. Now, slide lock, no slide lock, even though it comes OEM with a slide lock. I can't get into too much detail. I might do a video kind of breaking that down, but the FRTs do work in the Vs. There's just a couple extra things that have to be done to make that happen. I'm not going into detail. We're not breaking it down. I'm not going to discuss this on YouTube right now, but the whole thing about where people are like Gen 1 through 4. Yes, but no. It's not. Now, I can't attest to 6. I don't know anything about Gen 6, but Gen 1 through V, in theory, can work dependent on the mag release you get. Easily obtained. Swap the mag release. That frees up the space for the FRT. And it can be done. Now it's going to take a little bit of extra work. And it did. It took a little bit of extra work. And there is that initial, just ever so slightly, there is a little bit of a, when that first pull happens. But it's once I've done a lot of work and stuff on it, it's not too bad. But anyway, guys, the subject of today, compensators, are they worth it? I'm going to state, as long as you pick the right one, absolutely. It was a huge game changer. Now, would I run everything that I carry compensated? No. Because let's be honest, in reality, the smaller the firearm, the easier it is to carry. I could not imagine trying to carry that. That's essentially the same size as a Glock 17 at this point. I mean, if you hold them side by side, you can remove the oil off of it. I just like clean this heavy. This Glock had been severely neglected until I got a hold of it. I had to give her a bath. As you can see here, I'm lining them up. And I mean, it's slightly longer than a 17, but it's basically pretty close to about equal to a 17. And then the grips are identical, minus this being a Gen 4 with the finger grooves. I couldn't imagine trying to concealed carry a Glock 17. Now, I know some people can do it, and that's awesome. I'm glad for them. That's not me. It's not me. I carry the smallest of the small that I can, Bodyguard 2.0, P365, Ruger Max 9, Glock 43X, but just regular 43X, not with a comp. Does it mean I wouldn't? No, not necessarily. So I could see potentially trying to fit the 43X with a Radian Ramjet, only because the Radian Ramjet only adds ever so slightly much. The compensators do add more, because you got to think the Radian Ramjet is a barrel system that works in conjunction with that compensator to cut down on the length and still give you a compensator. So that's kind of the part where that's so special. That's why that's such a big deal. It's not just the compensator. It is a whole barrel system that works together to cut down on the length. But if you are looking for a comp, and this is whether it's an outer waistband, a truck gun, a bag gun, a nightstand gun, whatever have your purposes, if it's not concealed carry, and I mean, or if you're comfortable with concealed carry, Herrington Arms comps, substantial difference in shooting. The muzzle flip substantially down. I mean, the range footage speaks for itself. That's why I wanted to, as best as I could, capture that experience on camera. I wish I had one of those high-end slow-mo cameras. I don't, and I don't foresee that being in the budget for a very long time. But with what this Osmo Action 5 Pro can do, we have 240 frames a second at slow-mo. I mean, you can watch the shell casing and even hear it tapping off things and watch it bouncing. It's kind of hilarious. So yes, compensators 100% worth it, depending on what you're trying to do. Now, if this is your concealed carry, and you're already at the max size you want to be with it, but you're like, I don't know, maybe a comp will just cut it down. It will cut it down, but you're going to increase that length, and that might affect the comfort of your carry. So just decide on that yourself and what you feel about it. Because I'd hate to go to the extent of investing, especially if you got a 43X, because those typically don't come with a threaded barrel, and you go to all that extent to run a compensator, and then you find out, man, this isn't comfortable to carry, I'm not carrying it now. It kind of sucks. If it comes to shooting, and that is your biggest concern, is muzzle flip, especially if you like to shoot a lot and you train a lot and you love, going out and plinking with your carry, throwing a comp on completely changes the game. Now, are any of these firearms not manageable without a comp? Absolutely not. You can shoot every single one of these. This is simply going to cut down on your follow-up shots. It's going to inspire confidence. It looks kind of cool in my opinion. A lot of it's just the cool factor, but it absolutely reduces that kick, and it makes it a lot easier to burn through ammo. I will tell you that much, because I have been burning way too much ammo shooting all these compensated firearms. But that's what I got for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope I answered any questions, if anybody did, about compensators and how they actually feel. Do they actually do anything? And they absolutely do. Herrington arms are 100% worth it. Don't go and get just that knockoff eBay clone crap stuff. It doesn't actually do anything. Usually those are just cuts to look cool. They're not designed with the airways to help you expel those gases properly, and you're not going to get that benefit from it. So understand that just because it looks like it's doing something or would do something doesn't mean it will. But Radian Ramjet, that's been proven, just not by me. Herrington Arms, 2 different Herrington Arms comps, both were very successful, but that model with the side ports definitely does help. And then also the Safari Precision ported barrel and slide, I can attest to that as well. Definitely made the 43X shoot way flatter, and it felt really good. So that's what I got for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit it with a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys on the next one.